Hi, it's Kerry with Divine Radiance. I'm a Divine Light healer, a certified crystal healer, and a spiritual guide. I am currently enrolled in 2 spirituality courses, a year-long and a 9-month-long course. And I'm sharing what I'm learning on my channel. It's a wonderful path that I'm on, and I just want to share what I'm learning for those of you who maybe don't have the time to dedicate to so much time to the spiritual practice. So today I wanted to talk about our light. And you know that person that you see them, you're like, wow, that person is such a light, or that person has amazing energy. You know, those type of compliments. Why is that? What are we seeing? And how can we become that? How can we be that person whose light shines through? And we get the compliments of, wow, I love your energy, right? And because we can always do more, right? Even if you're already getting it, we already can. So we'll talk about why that is and how, what steps we can take to help our light to really shine forth, because it's so important for our light. So when we see someone as light, when we say, wow, that person is such a light, what that is basically is their soul is shining through. Okay, their soul, which comes directly from God, that is divine, is shining through. Now, every person has a soul, yes, no matter how dark someone may seem, right? There's the opposite, right? There's some people who they just come across as dark, mean, rude, maybe evil, those type of things, right? We know those people as well, right? So that's the polar opposite of what we want to be. But those people still have a soul and they still have a light. It's just buried. So I always say they are buried in their humanness, meaning, of course, we are all light, pure light, joy, peace, and love, which is what God is. That is what we are in our essence. But what happens is we come to this earth, we have a physical body that encases the soul, and we become over-identified with the body, and the ego becomes stronger and stronger. And the ego is about fear, doubt, lack, scarcity. And what happens is that attracts pain and suffering. So the pain and suffering is the blocks. So when I say you're buried in your humanness, you're just buried in a lot of pain, basically. A lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and that light can't be seen as easily. So in order to remove the blocks, we need to heal. So we need to heal the pain, heal the suffering, not just from this lifetime, guys, but lots of lifetimes. So those who you see them are like, wow, they are such a light, have most likely done a ton of healing, a ton of inner work, shadow work, inner child work, went to a therapist, went to a 12-step program, did a lot of inner spiritual work. And that's why their soul is starting to shine through. It's only because they've removed blocks. We are all at our core a soul, right? What is a soul? A soul is a unique expression of the divine, of God, of source. And no soul is alike. Even though we are all a unique expression of God, we are unique, meaning my soul's light is going to be different than everyone else's soul. Everyone is a unique expression of God. So we really want that light shining through, because your light's going to be different than mine, and I want to see all the different expressions of the divine come through. And so that's the beauty of our soul, and that's what exists within each and every human being. So when they are dark, when they are buried in their humanness, it's really important for all of us to remember that there is a soul within and there is a light. And so for me personally, I really I've been training myself to look for the light in people rather than the dark. And that's really hard to do, because typically we're trained to look at what's bad and negative about a person, and we tend to judge. And then we don't see the person's light, right? We only see the bad. And don't forget, whatever we give, we receive. So if we are judging, we're going to receive judgment. And part of being light too, right, is if you think about love, right? When you're in love, they say you're walking on air, right? Because love is light. Love is really, really light. And so is forgiveness and joy and peace. All of these aspects of the soul are really light. But what the ego likes and what empowers the ego are things like guilt and shame and judgment and hate and jealousy. And if you think of any of those emotions, right, they feel heavy. They feel really, really dense and heavy, right? So those are keeping you down to the earth, right? Down into this illusion of pain and suffering and the illusion of Maya or the ego, right? It keeps us down. But when love, if we think of those other emotions, those are light. So now we're thinking not just light and brightness, but lightness and energy as well. So by being more loving and compassionate, caring, forgiving, we also will help we're going to empower our soul, because that's what our soul is about. Our soul is about love, compassion, forgiveness, where the ego is about judging, shaming, guilting, being jealous, hating on people, right? That, and every time we experience those emotions, we are empowering the ego within us, making it stronger, making us darker, building blocks, right? Burying us in more humanness. And we get heavy, and we seem heavy, and we don't look as light and bright to others. We seem dark, we may seem mean, we may seem evil to some, right? Like, who hasn't had a bad day and had a dark cloud around them, right? You can see it in people. You recognize when someone's off. And I certainly don't get any compliments on my energy when I'm having a bad day, right? Because it comes with you. I call it a dark cloud because I've done a lot of work. That doesn't mean my light is always shining through. It can be a bad day and have a dark cloud that'll still cover your light. So in order to really empower your soul so that your soul shines through more, right? You want to be more loving, compassionate, and forgiving to everyone around you, even those who are most buried in their humanness, right? So I don't know about you, but like one way to practice this, one of these ways to help kind of change your whole mindset on this is, say you see someone going to prison, or, you know, like instead of being like, oh, look, they're getting what they deserve, justice, right? That's judging. Remember, whatever we give out, we're going to give back. But if we say, oh, wow, that our brother, like how much pain he must have been in, how much darkness, how much, you know, how lost is this soul, right? And start kind of reframing how we look at everyone else. And then once we offer that to someone, now I want to be clear, this isn't condoning behavior. It's not about condoning people who break the law or who do evil things, but it's about changing the way that the energy we put out to them. And instead of offering judgment and condemnation and, you know, burn type of thing, like, we have to recognize we want them to see their light. And the best thing to do is pray that they do heal, and that they can heal the pain that they're in. And same thing when you meet people on the street. Like I said, I always try to see the light in them. No matter if someone comes off to me as rude or they attack me, it's very important to always stand in your light. No matter, you don't want them to bring you down and add another block onto you, right? It's important to stay in your light, even if they come at you and attack. Because what happens is, if you stay in your light and say, oh, I'm so sorry, you're having a bad day, like, I'll come back, I'm sending you love, I'm sending you healing, you know, something like that, they may think you're crazy, but the thing is, they're going to recognize their light. It's going to remind them of their light. And that's a very empowering thing to do for someone, right? We always want to help others remember their light, not to enforce the darkness, enforce the negative energy. We want to remind them. And yeah, they might not have this moment of like clarity right then and there, but don't underestimate that power. When you show someone your light, even if they're just hammering you with darkness, that will have an impact on them, whether it's in an hour, in a day, in a week, in a year. By us standing in our light, we help those remember theirs, and it enforces our light. It really, truly starts removing those blocks. So if you want to be one of those people whose soul's light is shining through, practice love, compassion to everyone, even those you feel might not deserve it, right? We've all had a bad day. And remember how special and unique your light is. And no, we all want to see it, right? We all want more of that light coming through. That's how we change the world, right? Once we're all walking and shining in our light, in our soul's light, and not the ego's darkness and the ego's heavy energy, right? That's how we change, because everyone that you meet is going to recognize your light, and they're going to remember theirs. And they're going to want their light to shine through. And it'll just keep more and more people's souls' light shining through. So let me know what you think. Let me know if that was helpful. If you have any stories, please share it in the comments. I always appreciate any subscribers. I'll be sharing more stuff like this coming up. And yeah, any likes, shares, comments, always appreciative. Have a wonderful, blessed day.